We are now moving on to the next panel. The title of the panel is How Can Anyone Be an Actor of Change? And I will welcome on stage Louise, who will moderate this session. So please, Louise, come on stage. And yes, we can make a round of applause for all the panelists of the next last very rich panel, please. So Louise, I'll let you come and take the rest. Have a nice panel on how can anyone be an actor of pro bono.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Good, okay. I'm just trying to put my camera on. So I think the browser is already being used. So maybe I will just start without the camera, that's okay. So hello to you all and welcome to this panel session. Thank you so much, Antoine, for this introduction. So as Antoine said, we're going to talk about how can anyone be an actor of change today. I'm really excited to be able to moderate this talk. My name is Louise. I'm a project manager at Pro Bono Lab and really excited, yes, to be with all of you and to start the discussion. So we'll be mainly discussing topics such as can anyone share their skills, if becoming an actor of change is possible for any citizen, and how can the practice of pro bono be an effective way to boost civic engagement? There are many ways today to engage in pro bono. It can be on a personal level or at work, on a short-term or long-term basis, locally or internationally. So we'll really try to ask ourselves if pro bono is suitable for all kinds of volunteers, and how can we adapt the practice to fit it with both our personal lives and the unique reasons for our commitment. So I'm really excited to welcome our panelists today. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on stage Anastasiia, who is a communications manager at Pro Bono Club Ukraine, a pro bono intermediary in Ukraine. So Anastasiia, please join us. I don't know if, yep, perfect. You can take a seat on the stage. Welcome, Anastasiia. Next up, we have Mina Lopez Lugo, founder and executive director of Pro Bono Venture Mexico, which is a pro bono intermediary and a venture philanthropy operator for the social Mexican sector. Welcome, Mina. And if you've taken your seat, yes, that's perfect. Next up, we have Pauline Rethore, head of programs at Planète Urgence, which is a nonprofit association recognized as a public utility for international solidarity and environmental protection, created in Paris in the year 2000. Welcome, Pauline. Please take a seat. Great. And last but not least, we also have Clément Lescat, General Secretary of Atout Coeur, a nonprofit that aims to engage AXA employees and general agents in the service of society around different solidarity actions. So normally Clément should be joining us by screen. So I'll let him open his camera. I'll also let Pauline and Anastasiia maybe share their cameras too, so that we can see their faces. So feel free to share your cameras. Clément, can you hear us? Welcome. You have your camera on?
Yes, I can.
Great. Pauline is putting on her camera, which is great also.
Hey everyone. I think it doesn't work. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Maybe someone from the staff can maybe help you, Pauline. And then Anastasiia and Mina, if you want to try to put on your screen, you can also try. Ah, here we are. Hello. There's Anastasiia right here. Hi, Anastasiia.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
And thank you, Anastasiia. And I'll maybe let Pauline or Mina try to get on the central screen. So without further ado, I think we'll just jump right in and start the discussion. So as I said, we all know that there are many ways today to engage in pro bono and different engagement formats. So my first question to you all is a pretty broad one. It's knowing what you think, and in your opinion, what is the most important.
In a French company can go on a mission for 2 weeks to share his or her skills, tips, organization to help a small association of women in Peru, for example, to optimize the potential sales of their handicrafts. The Congé Solidaire is a success because it's easy for someone to get involved, as you only have to apply and share your skills, as it's the company who takes in charge the cost of the mission and Planète Urgence who organizes all the logistics of the mission. Among the young generation, like up to 25 years old, the civic service is very popular in France. Young people can get involved to help an association in France or abroad for a 6 to 12 months mission with a grant from the States. For example, 22-year-old women can go for 6 months in Mexico to help raise awareness on the protection of the environment in a small association. I'll just like to add during the quarantine period, and since then, as most of the borders are closed, we develop new types of volunteering, especially e-volunteering through video conferences, so that small association abroad can still get skill transferred, even though the volunteers can come in their country.
Thanks, Pauline, for your answer. Can everyone hear me? It seems good. Okay, thank you so much for your contribution. Maybe Clément, you can jump in, because I know that in AXA, Atout, Coeur, you guys also do Congé Solidaire and other types of engagement formats. So I'll let you talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So hi to everyone, very happy to participate to this panel. So indeed, we concluded an agreement with Planète Urgence, Pauline and Muriel last year. So very happy also to work on this perspective. And to come back to your question, so if I ask myself to what is the most widespread, let's say, type of volunteering, for sure right now it's the short type of volunteering, so a short period, let's say. But I think also the long-term one is growing up rapidly. So why I said the short term? Because obviously it's the most flexible one, the most easy one. For instance, in AXA Atout Coeur, I represent, we had last year, I think, 11,400 volunteers. So basically employees from AXA. And they committed in 608 short-term actions. So it's quite big. So of course all the, let's say, 1 hour, 2 hours type of exercise. It's quite a spread in our organization, for sure. But we notice also that there is every day more appetite, let's say, for long-term involvement. So based on this understanding, so we launched a couple of years ago what we call in France mécénat compétences, so skill-based sponsorship, let's say. So we did that to allow employees to commit with an NGO for a certain period of time. So basically we have 3 stages, 3 horizons, let's say. So for the youngest employees until 35 years old, they can commit until 1 month to work, full time for NGO and still paid by AXA. Between 35 and 55 years old, so mid-career, let's say, it's until 6 months, and after 55 years old, so more when you prepare your retirement, it's until 3 years, which is quite a lot. And so now we have 120 employees in this program. So we observe that it's a success, because I think 3 years, 120 persons is quite a lot already. So now what we try to do is to offer new types of, let's say, new programs, yes, new types of engagement on the long run. So we try to offer that in the 3 pillars, 3 causes of involvement. So Atout Coeur, we work to fight exclusion, to protect environment, and also we work in preventing risk and educate on health. So, and then on each and every of these pillars, we try to offer, let's say, a long-run type of involvement. On health, we have a program called Engagé de Secourir, so committed to rescue. So gathering 40 employees of AXA who are in their personal time, let's say, they are working in secourism activities, for instance, with the Red Cross or Order of Malta or this kind of NGO. So we give them holidays, supplementary holidays. We give them special support to foster and to facilitate for them their engagement. And so, for instance, concretely, when we have a natural catastrophe in France, we allow them to do their organization and to help people with problem. Second type of engagement we have for environment. So for the last year, we launched a shared garden. Shared vegetable garden, potager partagé in French. So in some AXA sites in France, we have on the roof, on terraces, on different places, we have a garden, basically, garden of vegetables, fruits, and so on. And so people got used to take care of it on the long run also. And third type of involvement we propose, let's say, it's maybe it's the most developed one so far. It's regarding exclusion. So here we have two types of things. First thing is to encourage what we call parrainage, so mentoring. So we do that with NGO like Télémac, Proxité, Article 1. So they are NGO in France dedicated to help kids and teenagers and in terms of scholar assignments. And so our employees, when they want, they are able to play a role of mentor for 1 year or more for these teenagers. And we have right now we have 108, concretely speaking, employees committed in this type of program. And the last one is we call that la promo du cœur. So we accompany 20 persons with like homeless or refugees to help them to find a job and flat, a home. So, and we do that with mentoring commitment for employees, and it's a commitment also of 1 year. So, yes, in a nutshell, in conclusion, again, of course, in terms of metrics, short term is very big, much bigger than long term, but we observe that, let's say, long-term involvement is fastly growing up.
Thanks, Clément. It's really interesting to have your thoughts on this, and also to see the diversity of engagement formats that you allow your employees to have access to at Atout Coeur. So thanks, it's really interesting. And what about you, Anastasiia, in Ukraine? Any thoughts on this question? Is there any types of engagement formats that are most popular there?
Thank you, Louise, for the question. I can say that we have 3 common types of pro bono activities. Educational events, now it's preferably online. Some individual consultations, then organization can directly ask experts some relevant questions. And different long-term projects and experts and non-profit organizations working on their problems or some issues to develop, for example, PR strategy or some legal issues. And our experience shows that the most popular format in Ukraine are educational events because it's a short-term engagement, so you can just invest 1 hour or 2 hours of your time and to teach something some non-profit organizations. And over the last 6 months, we conducted approximately 25 educational events with different companies. And during quarantine, some big companies applied to us in order to make some webinars, some events for non-profits because they wanted to involve their employees to these pro bono activities, and as I said, it's quite easy short-term activity in comparison with some long-term projects. And also the benefit of this format that events can cover a lot of non-profit representatives at once. For example, at each of our events, we had from 40 to 80 attendees. So it was interesting for companies to give a big impact on this audience. And sometimes we made not just separate events, but educational courses. For example, we had a big project with Deloitte or Delay in Ukraine. This was educational course, 21st century skills. And approximately 200 representatives of nonprofits participated in this course. And another good example, it was a program with Danone in Ukraine. It was called 5 Verges of Success in the Organization, and approximately 150 nonprofit representatives participated in this program. So mostly in our experience, companies decide to make some event and to cover a lot of people at once. But the good point also is that some of these experts who conducted this event, they want to continue cooperation with us, and they have desire to be involved in some long-term projects, and we appreciate it very much because our main goal in Pro Bono Club Ukraine is to build long-term partnership between business and civic organizations.
Thanks, Anastasiia. It's super interesting to see that short-term engagement formats are really appreciated in Ukraine, and that you have like a specific theme that comes out, which is more educational projects. Really interesting to see that trend. Let's head south, and let's head in South America. And Mina, what are your thoughts on this question?
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. Well, let me place you in our context, because both in Mexico and Latin America, Pro Bono has been seen more like a form of volunteering, mainly done by law firms and global corporations. Pro Bono is really new in our region. So last year we held the first regional Pro Bono Summit in Latin America, and our main interest as network members was to show different success stories in the region, looking to inspire both local companies and social actors so that they can start implementing Pro Bono missions. This year, in parallel to the Pro Bono Summit that is happening now, we are holding the second Latin American Summit, and this time we are showing how Pro Bono is helping us to build the new world we need after this pandemic. So we are focusing on demonstrating that Pro Bono is a way of developing three main areas: change agents, as we are going to have a conversation now, race education, and as a powerful element of smart investment. So when I founded, and going to your question, when I founded Pro Bono Venture 3 years ago, it was with the sole intention of carrying out Pro Bono activities. The idea was to professionalize the social sector, and our strategy was to replicate methodologies already applied by successful network members. So that is how I came to France to learn from Pro Bono Lab how to carry out Pro Bono marathons. I have collaborated also with Pixera Global that applies global Pro Bono strategies, and with Fomenta from Brazil, who has a very interesting approach, because Pro Bono is a step of an integral strategy to accelerate social organizations. So along the way, I have found that Pro Bono applied in a strategic way has an impact that sometimes we do not even imagine. A social entrepreneur, I think Brian Scott, he defined talent as a multiplier. You know, that is true, because when you combine talent with financial resources, you have a win-win strategy. So personally, the Pro Bono missions that I like the most are those that are designed with a strategic business or sustainability vision. Now we are developing new strategies, not just to implement Pro Bono missions, but to build communities committed to the same ethic. So I believe in Pro Bono talent as the most powerful development tool, something that is very necessary in these challenging times. Thank you.
Thanks, Mina. really interesting to have your thoughts also on this and to see how things are evolving in Mexico. Big up to our friends who are also doing the LATAM Pro Bono Summit. We are thinking about them also. So thank you all for your contributions on this first question. It's really interesting to see the diversity of engagement formats and trends and how they can differ from one country to another. So thank you all. Now let's focus a bit more on the profiles of volunteers, because there was a question on the last panel, which was really, can blue collars be more volunteers? Can white collars be have the best volunteering profiles? So let's really dig in that question. And so I have a second question, which is more on the profile of volunteers. Do you think that anyone can be a volunteer today and a pro bono volunteer? And if so, are there some volunteering trends in your respective countries that you would like to share with us? I'll start off maybe with Clément.
Yeah, sorry, I was in mute, but okay, happy to start answering your question. So basically, let's say on my side, as head of AXA to Coeur, let's say my responsibility is precisely to offer a wider range of possibility of involvement to ensure that everyone finds his way, So it's very easy. So definitely, we try every time to diversify, the type of NGO, the type of causes, and the type also of format. Maybe on the last one, on the format, maybe there is a trend I observe, and it will be my message. I think it's my position, and that I think now the trend is to, let's say, make the link more narrow between the business and the pro bono. My point is that if I make a rapid history, rapid wrap up of what we did in AXA to Coeur, it's like climbing a staircase. The first tier was more to say, okay, we offer to our employees what we call bénévolat in French, which is let's say volunteering outside of working time. So particularly on the weekend, during the lunchtime, on the evening. So for instance, to visit homeless people on the street or to give soup to people on the evening, of this kind of activity. So it was quite popular, and thanks to that, we succeeded in committing some employees in the organization. Okay, but after that, we realized that there was a bunch of employees not committed. No, of course, as it was a free exercise, so no mandatory at all, of course. So let's say a part of our organization was not involved. So we decided to launch activities during working time. So not only on personal time, but also on working time. So we call that a team building solidaire, so charity team building, let's say, which are basically team building for one specific department within our organization, let's say, but with a charity purpose, with a solidarity purpose. Okay, and thanks to that, we engage more people, a wider type of people. But let's say these activities were during working time, but with no link with the business. For instance, we bring with us, I don't know, for instance, financial department of organization, so 100 of people, and we got a visit of, I don't know, a visit with disabled people, for instance. So it was, something very strong, very emotional. So people got very happy. But you see, there was no link between their day-to-day job and their, let's say, this pro bono activity. Okay. So now, let's say the next tier, third one, is to offer activities where we can make the link between our professional calling or professional skills, activities, and the pro bono activity. Okay. So, for instance, we launched a new program called Health Angels, which is we embark our lawyers. We have a legal department, lawyers, and they dedicate each of them half a day per week. For helping, women victims of violence. okay, so they accompany this woman with in terms of protection when there is a trial, when there are some justice pursuit, so on. So it's very interesting because in this activity, you know, it's really a pro bono purpose. It's for free. I mean, we do that on a clear and pure volunteer way. But their let's say their business, their professional skills, they can use it, they can leverage it to help each other on a very outside topic matter, outside of the organization topic. Sorry. So we achieve success with that, and we continue now with other type of teams. For instance, so we have a department on real estate department, and so this team helps us also to find a home, some flat for homeless people or for people we accompany in our programs. So again, of course, in this case, their knowledge, their skills. So they are very happy also to use it to help people. So in conclusion, I think yes, for me maybe a new trend to maximize the usage of skills of people is really to offer also this activity, this pro bono program where you can use your professional experience toward people outside of your firm.
Thanks, Clément. So it's really interesting to see that really anyone can be a volunteer, but it really needs to be according to their interests, their own interests and their skills. You can either choose to develop new skills while volunteering, or you can choose also to share those skills. So it's interesting to see that everyone can really have a place within pro bono. I'll let maybe Pauline jump in on this question. Pauline, what's your take on this question? Can anyone be a pro bono volunteer?
Of course, obviously, we think that everyone can be a volunteer because everyone has skills and experience to share. So you only need to find the mission that better suits you. Volunteering is a real opportunity to be and to feel useful for the community. It's up to the sending organization to make sure that the needs of the local partners, internationally or in France, will be fulfilled during the mission. So indeed, the first requirement is to match with the needs of the mission. Then the volunteer has to be in a positive state of mind and respectful as well, so that they can adapt themselves to the frame of the mission and have a real impact. Important as well to prepare the volunteers through specific training so that they can carry out a quality mission, giving them the key messages, a good understanding of the goal of their mission, and to broaden their vision of the issues at stake. For the conscious solidaire volunteers, hard skills are needed as well as soft skills, but you need some skills to realize the mission, and as well some specific conditions can be asked from the company. For example, to be in the company for at least a year, or to have a long-term contract, or as well the age can be a condition for the company. Whereas for a civic service volunteer mission, we only base our selection on the motivation and on the involvement of the volunteer.
Thanks, Pauline. Really interesting your answer on this, and I think I agree. I think it's a state of mind to have, and also it's really important to be a pro bono volunteer. I think you kind of need that preparatory take and preparatory work in order to really be able to have the largest impact possible. So I like what you said about preparing volunteers also. Next up, maybe Anastasiia in Ukraine. Maybe you want to give us your thoughts on this question too.
Yes, thank you, Louise. I also believe that everyone can be a volunteer, because in our world it's real demand for volunteers today. However, speaking about pro bono volunteering, like intellectual volunteering, as a person who want to do something pro bono should have some relevant experience and skills to share. And for example, in our organization, we receive on average 10 applications each month from different individual experts, professionals who want to do something pro bono. And each time we always check this application, consider experience of these people, and decide whether this person's skills match some organization needs. So it's for us, it's a very thorough process to understand if this person match the needs of organization and can teach them something good, something useful for them. And speaking about some volunteering trends in our country, of course, it's growing of online activities, online volunteering, because of the situation around the world, and these online formats become more and more interesting. And the next, it's like good trend that we can see in our country, that it is growing of corporate social responsibility. As I mentioned, during quarantine, some big companies applied to us in order to make joint projects. And in our turn, we try to tell about the stories in our social media, in mass media. And due to this, other companies also want to join pro bono activities because their competitors also do pro bono and they want to be part of pro bono activities. And the last trend we can see in our activities is that our pro bono volunteers want to form a community. We often ask our volunteers, why are you doing pro bono? And commonly they say that they want to be a part of community of people that are doing something good changes for society. So that's why we also in our organization trying to make some community of pro bono volunteers and to give them an opportunity to communicate with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasiia. It's really interesting, and I like what you say about forming a community. I think you feel so much more important and useful when you're doing it with a community. And I think it's really interesting what you just said about why are you doing pro bono? Why are you a pro bono volunteer? Because I want to feel useful. And I think that's a really interesting take on the question. So thank you. I'll let Mina finish this question. What about your thoughts, Mina?
Well, of course, I agree with all of them without exception, because we all have talents and we can put them to the service of others. And before, let me tell you that I have changed sometimes my mind, because before I believed that it was very necessary, to have previous experience to do pro bono, because we need to do pro bono in a professional way. This is something that is really serious. These are organizations that they are putting in our hands, something that is really important for them. But I have learned from initiatives such as the ABC project, that you have learned a lot about it, that experience can be compensated by inviting those that have the experience to join forces. What is really important is that volunteers, they really have the will to participate, and it's a subject that is interesting to them. Otherwise, it is not going to be successful, it's not going to be a good experience for any of the participants. And but sharing experience, I think that is something that is really, really interesting. And actually today we are going to have a conversation in our summit about education and about how we can invite students actually to do this kind of matching and have senior professionals that help us also to develop the people that they want to do pro bono, and that probably they don't have all the experience that is needed, but if they have the wills and they are really interested in doing it, I think that is going to be amazing. And what is a trend right now is obviously, as Anastasiia and everyone mentioned, is working online. So it is something that we were not doing. We strongly encourage participants to work face-to-face with the organization because it was really interesting. You can imagine corporate people that they went inside of these hubs of social entrepreneurs, and suddenly they was not at office. They were very impressed because a dog was walking around. They had to, the way they experienced being inside of the organization was really, really making them learn a different kind of experience, Some of them, they actually shared that they were so inspired because they remember when they were younger, and that when they were so inspired by their work, so they promised themselves to come back with that spirit, So we thought and we believe that kind of experience is really important, but it's something that in this moment cannot happen. So obviously working online is something that is important. Now doing it remotely has been challenging for us, but it has been also interesting. We find out something that is really interesting, and we have managed to build connections between people online. And that is something that we don't thought it was going to be possible, but you know, we have different tools, there are different kind of activities, and you can make people actually be more open to having these conversations with someone in the screen and doing that online. So we are using those good things that they have been happening, and we are trying different tools. Right now we are exploring methodologies such as hackathons, and good experience has been this personal connection. And a good experience, for example, I want to put this example because it is so important for us. We were attending an Alzheimer organization, and well, in the moment we have this corona situation, the senior people, they are the first ones that they have to go home. So it was a very big problem. And well, then they started moving, and they actually pivoted their strategy, and they started attending the patients online. It is incredible to see people that they are in that age receiving their treatments online, connected in their phones, in iPads. I mean, something that we will never, ever imagine that it was going to be possible. And we have been using this to pivot their business model, and actually it has been amazing. The pro bono volunteers that participated in the past and that now they are giving some advice, they were shocked. They say, why we never thought about this, doing this kind of a strategy? It is working, because now they can attend people out of Mexico City and actually people out of the country. So it hasn't been everything bad. We have learned some experience about working online. Thank you.
Thanks, Mina. That's a really inspiring example that you just gave us, and it really shows that pro bono can be such an effective tool and an effective way of collaborating and finding viable solutions. So really interesting that seniors got together and really did pro bono. So now that we've seen that actually anyone can really be a pro bono volunteer, my next question is there more similarities in the profiles of volunteers today, or rather disparities? And can you kind of give us examples to show either the diversity or kind of the similarities within the volunteering community? Maybe Pauline, you want to start off?
Okay. We can say that there are really different profiles of volunteers, and it's great because that diversity is really valuable, because we have so many different local partners and so many needs to be fulfilled. So it's great to have white collars and blue collars as well, just to answer the previous question. So that's really great. But we can say that with all of them, that all of them are moved with solidarity, with sharing and meeting new people and new culture. So we can usually say that there are more women than men. About 70% of volunteers are women and 30% are men. And regarding the Congé Solidaire, the average age is 42 years old. But for civic service, obviously, because it's up to 25 years old, the average age is around 22. But yeah, there are really some different profiles. I can tell you a story about Judith. She's 25. She's an accountant, and she went to Madagascar to help a local organization optimize the use of the accounting software and to be more efficient in their processes. She loved the experience because she felt really useful. She had prepared a lot of contents, a lot of great things before the mission, and she realized that adaptability is a key word, because the reality of the mission is very often different from what we've expected, especially regarding the level of the beneficiaries on the field. She said that she helped the association, and that was great, but she's also learned a lot on her during the mission. So as many different missions that we have, as many different kind of volunteers we are looking for as well.
Thanks, Pauline. That's really interesting. And I hope for all the men out there, please come and join us. Pro bono is fun and we need some guys. So come join us. Clément, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, on my side, I would say that, yes, I observe some disparities, some differences, maybe between the different generations within our employees. I think, of course, which is common, obviously, is the will to commit, for sure. But it's true that we observe some differences in the type of activities and the type of energy they want to give in these charity activities. And sometimes we have some even contradiction or different approach. You know, for instance, just as a short story, for instance, traditionally for Christmas, you know, we got used to prepare a lot of meals for people in need, you know, and normally we prepare some bags of candies, you know, so with a lot of sugar. So for, let's say, sometimes for I don't know, maybe it's not the good word, but the eldest generation of our employees, something very natural, and they
Oop, I think we've just lost Clément. Can you still hear me? Maybe on the chat, just so that it's not also me who's can't be heard. Oops, has just lost. Yes, we can hear me. So unfortunately, Clément and his sugar story will have to wait. Sorry about that, Clément, but he'll be right back. How about you, Anastasiia? Maybe you can jump in for Clément.
Yes, I will continue. In our country,
the generation,
sorry, Clément, we had lost you, but you're back.
We have every time more requests for challenges. Yep. I hear some noise. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So sometimes, for instance, we have a lot of requests to perform some sport challenges. You know, the typical challenge where people make run exercise or walk exercise, and they take their screenshot with the number of kilometers they perform, and they share that with us. And so, based on the number, on the amount of kilometers performed, so we will give a lump sum to a specific NGO. So this kind of activities is more fashionable, is more, let's say, on the mood to today. In this perspective, also, for instance, last year we experienced a new type of activity, which is gaming. So we create a sort of charity gaming activity. So people were very embarked in this Mario Kart challenge, and depending on the number of match of parties played by volunteers, so we encourage a specific NGO. So also it was a new type of activity. So again, I think it's true that we have to diversify. It's true that we have also to listen to our employees. For that, last year we launched a survey. So we to a specific panel of employees, and we have I think it was 600 answers of people saying to us what they want to see as new activities, and so we based on that to launch a new type of format of volunteering. Yeah.
Thanks, Clément, for this input. It's really interesting. Anastasiia, maybe you want to talk a bit disparities or similarities within your volunteering community in Ukraine.
Yes, we have like two stories. First, when companies apply to us and just want to involve their employees, and the second, then some individual professionals or owner of some small businesses or agencies apply to us and wanna do pro bono. And I can say that skills, backgrounds are sometimes different, but all these people have, of course, common features. They are broad-minded. They understand that all in this society work together, and that you can't be fully successful if people around you are not happy and your country is not doing well. So it's like the common picture, and we examined our base of people working with us, and I can say that similar things are that these are mostly people in the middle of their career, because then people are on the start of their career, they may be not so confident in their skills, experience, and also they mostly trying to invest their time in self-development, not in some other things. And on the other side, then people are top professionals, they are famous, and they can do some good things without us, like just to write on their Facebook and start doing. So our audience mostly are mid-career professionals. Also, we have the same trend as Pauline said, it's more women than men. It's statistics, yeah, like 60% of women, 40% of men. I don't know why, just statistics, yes, but we want also engage other different experts. Speaking about age, it's mostly from 25 to 35, but it's not constantly, we have different situation. And also we have a common way of engagement of our pro bono specialists. Firstly, person tries something small, like just event or one consultation. After this, maybe a person wants to be involved in constant projects, and after that, a long-term project with organization. I have an interesting example in our experience several months ago. One small consulting company in Ukraine applied to us. We decided to conduct a webinar on organizational design for nonprofits. And after this webinar, owner of this company, the name of this woman is Natalia, she was satisfied with the impact, with the feedbacks we gave to nonprofits, and she wanted to continue cooperation, to continue doing pro bono. So this company made pro bono strategy session for us. And also now we are working together on the long-term program for nonprofits on how to develop their organization. And so it's like example of way then some person try something small pro bono and then want to be like eternal pro bono expert. Thank you.
Thanks, Anastasiia. Interesting to see also that in Ukraine, it's mostly young people. I mean, 25-35 is a pretty, strict gap and range. So it's interesting to see that these are the people who engage mostly. So thank you for that. Mina, you have anything to add on this question? What about in Mexico?
Yes, of course. And actually, well, we have a lot of diversity here as well, but it is incredible. We have young people, a lot of young people, but what statistics are saying is that people that are the most committed are people between 30 and 50 years old. They are the ones that they want to participate the most in this kind of activities. And it's really interesting because they are the kind of subject that when you do pro bono, normally when you are between the 30s and 50s, you are a person that has experience. So I think that is really, really good for us because of course we can have like more people and we invite them more to participate in pro bono activities than in volunteering activities. We share a lot of this data with corporates and with organizations that they are doing volunteering, so that it's better to move with this profile to pro bono activities, because that is what people are more interested in. And something that is also interesting is that in countries like Mexico, we have a lot of difference. You know, we have people that are super rich, and we have people that they are super poor, and there are people that they have a preparation that has been outside of Mexico, and they have the opportunity to travel to other countries. And we have also people that they haven't done that. But what is important is they're willing to participate. And we have a lot of difficulties here in Mexico, as in some countries in Latin America. And what has been interesting this year is that we did something that we participated in something that we never thought it was going to be possible to do, because we were working a lot with corporates. And with corporates, more or less, you have the same profile. You have, of course, different levels. And interesting data there is, yes, women participate the most, but also the most commitment was and is with the senior participants. You know, the highest is your profile and in the organigram, your level, the most committed they are. It is incredible. So they participate the most, they want to do more things. But well, here this year, what we have is a very interesting experience participating in a program that was built by citizens. And citizens, it started with responsible leaders from the BMW Foundation. They were going to participate in an event, the Week of Democracy, and it was a very simple event. And at the end, it happens to be such a big inspiration for them to do something. So that we started inviting organizations of different kind of levels, participants of different kind of levels, and at the end, we have a very, very successful event in which you can find these very high profile corporate owners, and you can find people from very small organizations, you can find seniors, you can find children, all of them participating in an event that was the Week of Democracy and working for it because they believe on that. And it was something that we never thought it was going to be, I don't know, possible. But it is possible when you have the same goal, and that is what happened to us. And well, we organize focus groups. We have like a different, so many activities, and I mean, it was a big good lesson, because at the end, of course, we searched for funds, but we didn't have like a corporate paying for this or a specific organization that was trying to do something. We all built this kind of movement. Now it's going to be a movement. The Week of Democracy is going to be replicated next year. We are building a toolkit so we can share this experience with other countries. So it has been really interesting.
Thanks, Mina. Really interesting, that example also of the Week of Democracy, trying to like really bring around responsible leaders and kind of forming like a community of volunteers. And I think it's interesting what you say also, that in Mexico, it's more tending towards 30, 50 years of age that people engage. So really interesting to see those disparities per country once again. Okay, my dear panelists, we only have a few minutes left, so I'm afraid that we'll have to close this panel session with one last question, and your challenge is to do 1 minute of answer. So let's see if you can do this. My last question is, and it's really linked a bit about what we said earlier, which is that usually a lot of people don't realize the potential that they have or the skill sets that they have, and therefore they do not end up volunteering. So what good practices can you share with us today to really boost pro bono engagement and tell people that they can really be proactive and a pro bono volunteer? So really 1 minute again, because we really don't have much time. So quick answer from each of you. Let's start with Clément.
Yeah, with pleasure. So yeah, to let's say to make the pro bono activity more accessible, it's a question. So I think definitely we have to leverage, let's say, this all of this remote solution we are using with this COVID context. So Teams, Skype, and so on, Zoom, and etc. So I think definitely we moved to this kind of tools recently, and it's quite a success. So, for instance, we organize do-it-yourself activities to sensibilize people on the environment issues, so they can make their own soap or their own toothpaste or whatever, you know, with product that we ask them to purchase in advance. We also have some job coaching activities through, let's say, yes, through Teams or through this kind of tool. So my point is that to gather more people and also to bridge the barrier that you have sometimes from the distance, all of this new trend of distant tools is very helpful. And I think also to attract people, sometimes it's good to have a sort of upward slope, you know, like to climb a mountain. For instance, right now we are in Pink October in AXA, and we try to offer a wide scope of activities linked to Pink October. Pink October, you know, there are activities to fight against breast cancer, and so we try to have something very easy and something more committed, and to be sure that everyone finds his way, and hoping that starting with something simple and easy, people got used and go to the next level, you see. So for instance, we have something very easy, which is, for instance, a photo call. So we have some places in the firm, and people just can get shot with for a picture, and thanks to that we give money. But also after that we have things where we ask people to make a sport challenge to give money to Institut Curie, which is our partner for fighting breast cancer. We have also some roundtable on this topic of preventing cancer. So you see, my idea is to say, okay, with the same topic, the same causes, let's say, we can have sort of different levers of engagement. And maybe last point in conclusion, because you asked us to be quite short, is to say that I think it was Mina before saying that the most important part is the willing part. And I acknowledge, I think you ask us different type of questions regarding the skills and so on, but my little experience is that the most important part is the will. I mean, when there is a will, there is a way. And so people got to understand that the issue is not to have a skill or not skills, you know, because at the end of the day, I think a solidarity activity is a success when there is sort of magical twist where people understand that, okay, they got involved in the activity to give to people or to give to a good cause, but at the end, they will receive much more than they give. So at the end of the day, the important part is not to be skilled or not. The important part is to have the will to help each other, to be committed. And when you show yourself to the beneficiaries of NGO or to other volunteers around you, you show you vulnerable and you acknowledge that maybe you have not all the skills to be performant on the activity. Magically, people wake up and propose to you to help. And at the end, in terms of impact, even more stronger, you know. So my conclusion is that the important part is the art, is the will, is really this purpose of people to be committed to the society and to each other.
Thanks, Clément, for this input. So good practice is to be really proactive, but also to be conscious of the will that we can have and the utility that we can have. So thank you for saying that. Pauline, Mina, and Anastasiia, you have 1 second left. So you have just one good practice from each one of you will be sufficient. Thanks. Pauline, maybe you want to start?
Yeah, I'll try to be really quick. In our team, we have several people dedicated to communicating with the companies and with their employees. So we organize shows and events inside the firms to connect with as many employees as possible, to bring them the information on the process on how to become a volunteer. And I think communicating with the people is the best way. Have them on the phone or answer them by email to just reassure them on the fact that yes, they have skills, yes, they can go and fit with this vision, particularly because we can read their CV, their resume, and by talking to them, we can just sometimes redirect them to a mission that they didn't thought they could fit in. So yeah, communicating is the best way to reassure them on their blockings and to make them really motivated to go on a mission. And we have also have communities of former volunteers that are willing to share their experience and talk to new volunteers as well, to reassure them and give them some advice.
Great, thanks, Pauline. Anastasiia, good practice?
Mm-hmm. Our good practice is to ask pro bono volunteers to recommend pro bono activities to their colleagues, to their friends, professional circle, because they can describe them this internal part of work in pro bono, of pro bono activities. And in our experience, most of our new pro bono volunteers applied by recommendation. So it's once again about some community and adding new people to this community. Thank you.
Thanks, Anastasiia. And we'll end with Mina, please.
Sure. Something really fast is that, well, of course, we are a pro bono intermediary. Something that has been working for us a lot is to match also pro bono, this talent and financial resources. Mentioned that there's a big link between pro bono and investment. There's a lot of data that shows the financial value of pro bono, and we should use it. There's an organization that is CCP, they are from the US, and they bring together CEOs from the largest US companies, and they finance a study that is constantly updated, and they estimate the value per hour of pro bono services. Right now is $195 US. So you can compare it with the value of the hour of traditional volunteering, that is $25.43. So on the other hand, some people have the idea that they don't have money, or the way to help is having money. And actually, giving your talent is a way in which you are doing investment. You don't have the money, but you are donating that amount of money with the talent that you are using. And doing this kind of things has been really interesting. If you want to know more, because we are very short of time, I invite you tomorrow to join the Latam Pro Bono Summit. We have translation with English, Spanish, and Portuguese, because we are going to have actually a day dedicated to that, to talk about pro bono and investment. Thank you.
Thanks, Mina. Thank you all for all of these wonderful contributions. It was really interesting being able to share your thoughts and to talk to you about this particular session on how can anyone be an actor of change. Again, Anastasiia, Pauline, Clément, Mina, thank you so much for participating. For the public, thank you for watching. If you want to ask questions to our panelists, feel free to send them a chat below, a private chat, so you can discuss more about this topic with them. And I hope that this session has convinced you that you can be the best pro bono volunteer out there. So spread the word, and thank you so much. I'll let maybe Antoine take back the lead for what's coming up next. Thank you all, and have a great Global Pro Bono Summit.